Hello learners, welcome to our YouTube channel Learn to Explore. I hope you all are doing good and studying also. So guys, welcome to our channel Learn to Explore. I hope you have enjoyed the earlier classes we have provided you of economics and sociology. So let's begin where we have left in the last class, Indian Economy Chapter 2. We have already started this chapter, and in the last two classes we did it partially. Now in this class we will end up this chapter, guys. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel, and also share with your friends, and do let me know in the comment section in case you have any doubts or any queries you have, or anything you would like to ask, can ask in the comment section. So let's begin. Let's take a quick revision first what we already covered in the last two classes. So this is the chapter second of your class 12 economics books, Indian Economic and Development. The chapter is Indian Economy 1950 to 1990. The chapter starts with the objective of first 5 year plan. The objective of first 5 year plan was to initiate a process of development which will raise the living standards and open out to the pupil new opportunities for a richer and more varied life. So this was the objective of first 5 year plan which India adopted in 1951. Guys, to know the full explanation, to get to know the full explanation of this chapter, kindly go back to the playlist and see the other two videos of this chapter, the previous videos. I have provided you the link in the description below for the complete playlist. You can go and check. And before this chapter, I would suggest you to watch the first two lessons. So let's moving forward. There are three forms of economic organization: capitalist economy, socialist economy, and mixed economy, where India chose to be the mixed economy, where public and private sector both exist side by side, and price mechanism and central planning authority together decide what, how, and for whom to produce. So this we have already done, and for explanation you can see the previous videos. Then we also did the definition of economic planning. Economic planning means utilization of countries' resources in different development activities in accordance with national priorities. So this is what the economic planning means. Then what are the long-term objectives of planning? The Planning Commission was set up in 1950 with the some long-term and short-term objectives. It came. So, what are the long-term objectives of planning? They are modernization of economy, self-reliance for the country, economic growth, equity, full employment. There are other short-term goals or objectives of planning which vary from 5 year plans or the plans, and depends upon the country's needs at time. So they are like, for first plan, it the focus was on higher agricultural productivity, while in second the focus shifted to industry. So in India, growth and equity are the objectives of all 5 year plans. Okay, the last 5 year plan we had was the 12 5 year plan from 2012 to 17, which focus was on inclusive development. Then we did the land reforms and HYV seeds policy. There were some problems in Indian agriculture statistics. But the first is institutional problems, which include defective tenancy reforms, lack of credit and market facilities, size of holdings. Then general problems are pressure of population on land, land degradation, subsistence farming. Technical problems are obsolete techniques of production, cropping pattern, etc. Then we adopted some reforms in Indian agriculture. Let's take a quick view on it. To increase efficiency and productivity in agriculture, there was abolition of intermediaries. Lack of political will was there, so land reforms was not benefited enough to the marginal and small farmers. Also, there was problems of surrender by tenants and inadequate proofs of tenancy. Then sub general reforms was expansion of irrigation facilities to more of the farmers, provision of credit, regulated market and cooperative marketing societies, support price policy, etc. So guys, I'm doing it in a quick manner because we have already did everything in the detail. You can watch the first videos for the full explanation, and to download the PDF of these notes, you can join our Telegram channel. Link is given in the description below. Also, you can get the full PDF from the Telegram channel. And in case you would like me to, you are in doubt if these notes are enough, so don't worry. I have made these notes out of your original NCRT book, so you can rely on it. I have included all the important points from exam perspective. So while reading these notes, you can make your own notes in the point format, which will help you in exam to gain more marks. Then the Green Revolution come in during mid 1960s, where stagnation in agriculture during colonial rule was permanently broken by the Green Revolution. Green Revolution promoted the use of HYV seeds. It increased the income of farmers, productivity, production. It also impacted on social revolution, use of new technology adopted. It increased the employment. There was also substantial rise in average productivity, though there are some limitations, like it was restricted to some areas and only two crops, mainly wheat and rice. And but it also affected our environment badly, leads to ecological degradation. Then after this, the debate over subsidy started, where one group favored the subsidy and said like they said new technology will be looked upon as risky by farmers, so subsidies are therefore to encourage farmers to test the new technologies. एक ऐसा ग्रुप है जो सब्सिडी को सजेस्ट करते हैं, जो जिनका मानना है कि सब्सिडीज फार्मर को प्रोवाइड की जानी चाहिए, जिससे कि उन्हें इंसेंटिव मिले न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज़ करने के, जो कि अदरवाइज रिस्की होता है। जबकि अदर इकोनॉमिस्ट का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है कि सब्सिडीज से क्या होता है, वेस्ट ज़्यादा होता है। फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आप इलेक्ट्रिसिटी और वाटर जैसी चीज़ें सब्सिडाइज या फ्री रेट पर फार्मर्स को देते हैं, तो इट विल लीड टू द more cultivation of water intensive crops if water is supplied free, although the water in that region might be scarce. So such crops will further deplete the already scarce resources and leads to ecological degradation. Then we study about the industry and trade. Industry provides employment which is more stable than in any other sector. Role of industry lies in meeting ever rising demands, raising people's income, high potential for growth, provides employment, leads to modernization. The problems of industrial development in India are as follows. There are some sector imbalances, regional imbalances, industrial sickness, higher cost of industrial products, dependence on the government, poor performance of the public sector, underutilization of capacity, increasing capital output ratio. Then, to overcome this problem, in 1956, the IPR was launched by Government of India. IPR is Industrial Policy Resolution, with the goal of the state controlling the commanding heights of the economy. The Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956 was adopted on the basis of Second Five-Year Plan, which tried to build the basis for a socialist pattern of society. So, features of IPR are as follows. It classified the industries in three different groups, which are listed in Schedule A, B, and C. Okay. Then it also stressed on the role of cottage and small scale industries. Industrial concessions were offered to private entrepreneurs to incentivize them to establish more of the industries. And then some small scale industries like are suggested by a committee called Carvey Committee. The small scale industry is defined with the reference to the minimum investment allowed on the assets of a unit. This limit has changed over a period of time. So these industries are labor intensive and cannot compete with the big industrial firms. So are few products which are reserved for the production by small scale industries. They are also provided concessions as lower excise duty and bank loans at lower interest rates. Guys, till here we have already covered in the last two classes. From here, now moving to the next topic, the new topic, which is public sector. Public sector consists of all the industrial and commercial enterprises which are owned by the government and managed either by the government itself or by some other agencies on behalf of the government. So this is the definition of public sector. Public sector क्या होता है? ऐसे enterprises जो गवर्नमेंट ओन करती है या फिर कोई ऐसी एजेंसी ओन करती है जो गवर्नमेंट के बिहाफ पर उन्हें चला रही है. So what is the role of public sector? How public sector helps? It helps the private entrepreneurs who are who have lack of capital. It provides incentives to private entrepreneurs due to limited size of the market. Socialist pattern of society. Main aim of government is to generate employment rather than profits. Then development of infrastructure are the objective of public sector. Development of backward areas, prevent the concentration of economic power in few hands, and promote the import substitution. So these are the objectives of public sector at large. Then coming to the next sector, it is foreign trade. At the time of independence, raw material was exported from India to Britain in abundance. On the other hand, finished goods from Britain were imported into India. But after independence, India's foreign trade recorded a noticeable change. जैसे कि हमने पहले भी पढ़ा है फर्स्ट चैप्टर में भी और वो ऑल्सो डन कि इंडिपेंडेंस के टाइम पे क्या था कि इंडिया से जो भी रॉ मटेरियल था वो ब्रिटेन में एक्सपोर्ट होता था और वी यूज टू बाय द फाइनल गुड्स फ्रॉम ब्रिटेन. लेकिन आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस ये सब चेंज हो गया. क्या हुआ आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस? देयर वाज डिक्लाइन इन परसेंटेज शेयर ऑफ एग्रीकल्चरल एक्सपोर्ट्स. मतलब जो एग्रीकल्चरल एक्सपोर्ट्स इंडिया करता था ब्रिटेन को, अब उसमें डिक्लाइन हुआ. इंक्रीज हुआ परसेंटेज शेयर ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चर्ड गुड्स इन टोटल एक्सपोर्ट्स. बल्कि अब इंडिया एग्रीकल्चरल गुड्स एक्सपोर्ट्स करने की बजाय मैन्युफैक्चर्ड गुड्स का एक्सपोर्ट ज़्यादा करने लगा. देयर वाज चेंज इन डायरेक्शन ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट ट्रेड एंड इम्पोर्ट ट्रेड. मतलब एक्सपोर्ट जो है अब चेंज हो गया और इम्पोर्ट की भी डायरेक्शन चेंज हो गई. अब हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग गुड्स का एक्सपोर्ट ज़्यादा करने लगे और इम्पोर्ट कम करने लगे. देयर वाज डिक्लाइन ऑफ ब्रिटेन एज अ मेन ट्रेडिंग पार्टनर. अब इंडिया ने और कंट्रीज के साथ भी ट्रेड स्टार्ट कर दिया आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस. द इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी दैट इंडिया अडॉप्टेड was closely related to the trade policy. In the first 7 plans, trade was characterized by what is commonly called as inward looking trade strategy. Starting में जो इंडिया की strategy थी उसे क्या कहा गया? Inward looking trade strategy. Because the strategy was of import substitution and aimed at replacing or substituting imports with the domestic production. उसका एम क्या था कि डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन को इंपोर्ट से सब्स्टिट्यूट करना, जिससे कि हम इंपोर्ट कम करें और डोमेस्टिकली प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा करें. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इंस्टेड ऑफ इम्पोर्टिंग व्हीकल्स मेड इन अ फॉरेन कंट्री, इंडस्ट्रीज वुड बी एनकरेज टू प्रोडक्ट दैम इन इंडिया itself. This is the example, same example given in NCERT book. You can refer to that. In this policy, the government protected the domestic industries from foreign competition. क्योंकि इंडियन इंडस्ट्री उस वक्त एक अच्छी स्थिति में नहीं थी, इसीलिए टू इम्प्रूव अवर बैलेंस ऑफ ट्रेड, टू मिनिमाइज द इम्पोर्ट्स ऑफ फिनिश्ड गुड, टू प्रमोट द डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्रीज, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया अडॉप्टेड द प्रोटेक्शनिस्ट पॉलिसी. Protection from import took two forms, tariffs and quotas. Tariffs are a tax on imported goods. They make import goods more expensive and discourage their goods. टैरिफ्स लगा दिए गए जिससे कि जो फॉरेन गुड्स हैं वो महंगी हो गई इंडिया में, so that people do not use them and use more of the domestic use. Then the quotas specify the quantity of goods which can be imported. The effect of tariffs and quotas is that they restrict imports and therefore protect the domestic firms from foreign competition. इसका इफेक्ट क्या हुआ टैरिफ और कोटा का? इससे इम्पोर्ट जो है रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिए गए और डोमेस्टिक फर्म्स को फॉरेन कंपटीशन से छूट मिल गई. मतलब दे वर फ्रीड फ्रॉम द कंपटीशन. It was assumed if the domestic industries were protected, they would learn to compete in the course of time. ये assume किया गया कि अगर domestic industries को starting में protection मिल गया तो by the time they will be able to compete, they will learn to compete. But there are some criticisms of this import substituting strategy. What are the criticism? Let's look at it. It did not lead to the growth क्योंकि competition जब नहीं था तो there was no incentives for the manufacturers to provide the best quality material to the consumers क्योंकि उन्हें कोई competition या fear नहीं था. Lack of competition was there, इसीलिए growth भी नहीं थी. Growth of inefficient पब्लिक मोनोपोलीज. इनएफिशिएंट पब्लिक मोनोपोलीज की ग्रोथ हुई जहां पर प्राइवेट सेक्टर काम कर सकता था, बट फॉर द पब्लिक वेलफेयर द sector was not handed over to the private sector, and public enterprise worked even in the loss. They was working inefficiently. Effect of policies on industrial development. तो policies का industrial development पे क्या impact आया? Let's look at it. The proportion of GDP contributed by the industrial sector increased in the period from 13% in 1950-51 to 24.6% in 1990 to 91. जो ये हमारी पॉलिसी थी, इनवर्ड लुकिंग अप्रोच थी, उसकी वजह से जो जीडीपी में कंट्रीब्यूशन था इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर का 50-51 में जो 13% था 1991 तक आते आते 24.6% हो गया, विच वॉज द ह्यूज इंक्रीज. Also, the 6% annual growth rate of industrial sector during the period is commendable. The industrial sector became well diversified by 1990s and was no longer restricted to cotton, textiles and jute. We were not restricted to the production of cotton, textile and jute, but we are in the situation to produce the different kinds of goods, agricultural products. Production from foreign competition enabled the development of indigenous industries in the areas of electronics and automobile sectors. इन areas में भी production मिला industries को India की. Okay, the need to obtain a license to start an industry was misused by industrial houses. Though there was a policy of industrial licensing to for the starting of any industry, the licensing was made compulsory in starting, but this licensing was misused by industrial houses. A big industrialist would get a license not for starting a new firm, but to prevent competitors from starting new firms. किसी भी बड़े इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट को जो है लाइसेंस इसलिए मिल जाता था ताकि वो कंपटीशन से बच सके, ना कि सिर्फ इसलिए क्योंकि वो नहीं फर्म स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं. द एक्सेसिव रेगुलेशन, जो एक्सेसिव रेगुलेशन था स्टार्टिंग में, was known as permit license Raj, which prevented certain firms from becoming more efficient. Excessive regulation resulted into the inefficiency of firms. Then the Industrial Development and Resolution Act (IDRA) was enacted in 1951 with the following objectives. So, what are the objectives? Let's look at it. Regulation of industrial development in accordance with the planned priorities. Avoidance of monopoly, balanced regional development, prevention of undue competition between large-scale industries and small-scale industries, optimum utilization of scarce foreign exchange resources. So these are the objectives of IDRA, which was enacted in 1951. Guys, I have put it all the important points in a point format, which is given in your NCERT as in paragraph format. The main objective behind putting everything in the point format is to make it easier, to learn and understand, and also gain marks in exams. So I hope you are okay with this point format and would love and also like this way. In case you do not, please do let me know in the comment section. So let's coming forward. But the policy was largely criticized as licensing policy resulted in underutilization of capacity in many industries. And in reality, the policy helped large business houses in accumulating economic power. ये सभी objectives थे before starting the licensing for the regulation. लेकिन ये सब मिसयूज किए गए, इसीलिए जो लाइसेंसिंग पॉलिसी थी इट वाज लार्जली क्रिटिसाइज्ड, and in reality it helped only the large business houses in accumulating economic power. So these were the drawbacks of this policy. So let's coming to the conclusion, guys. Here your chapter ends, so let's see the conclusion. The progress of Indian economy during the first 7 5-year plans was impressive indeed. Starting में जो है first 7 year plans तक जो ग्रोथ थी इंडियन इकोनॉमी की, दैट वाज कमेंडेबल. Industries become far more diversified compared to the situation at independence. India became self-sufficient in food production due to the Green Revolution. Policies were inwardly oriented, so failed to develop a strong export sector. The need for reform of economic policy was widely felt in the context of exchanging global economic scenarios, and the new economic policy was thus initiated in 1991 to make Indian economy more efficient. So guys, this is all up to the 1990s. What was the situation till 1990s? From 1991, India adopted the new economic policies, also known as LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, which would be going to start in the next chapter. So guys, I hope you are clear with the first and second chapter. In case you have any doubt, even in the first chapter or in the any part of second chapter, please do let me know in the comment section. And from here, we will continue in the next class. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And see you in the next class. Till then, keep revising, stay tuned, stay safe. Thank you. You can download the notes from Telegram group. The link is given in the description below. And in case you have sociology also as your subject, you can find the videos of the same in the in our channel. Link of playlist is given in the description below. Thank you guys. Please don't forget to share and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Thank you.